Hello, this video is about how to grow plants from seeds. And thank you because you're watching this, because you've volunteered to grow some yourself. Why are we doing this? Well, we've seen over the last couple of weeks, the last couple of months, there's been a lot of habitat and species lost from across the east coast of New South Wales. And we know that as people start to redevelop their land and we want to start to revegetate, that we're going to need some plants to do that with. So I'm going to talk about two varieties today that I know grow well up and down the east coast of New South Wales and I know are really easy to germinate. They are silver wattle and a black she oak. Now this is a silver wattle that I grew from seed in September, so that's only 3 or 4 months old. This is a she oak. You can just see they're starting to grow now, and they've been in that pot for 10 days. This one is a year old, and it's been in that pot for that long, and that's now at a size that's ready to plant out. And this one is 18 months old. As you can see, it's grown quite a lot in the last bit with that extra 6 months. And the reason it's in this big pot is because we just didn't have enough water to plant them out in spring last year. So we're going to talk about two of those varieties, silver wattle and black she oak. So what you're going to need to do your planting is some basic household stuff. Egg cartons, eggs removed. Now these are really good because they've got there's a number of trays in there, and everybody's got them, so they're good to use. We want some potting mix, a good quality, fairly fine potting mix or seed raising mix. This is potting mix, and we've used that quite successfully. You're going to need some seeds. This one's silver wattle, and a misting sprayer to keep them moist with. Now, while most plants can grow, just plant them and they'll grow, the silver wattle seeds have got a really hard casing on them. And for us to be able to successfully germinate them, we're going to do something to disrupt that outer case. You can either rub them on sandpaper, or you can put them in hot water and soak them for 24 hours. So that's really very simple. Just pop them in your hot water, leave them sit for overnight, and the following day you'll have some seeds that are ready to plant. Now you can't tell from the video, but these have swollen a little bit, so they're a little bit bigger than they were before they went into the hot water, and that's a pretty good sign that they're ready to go. So once they've soaked overnight for 24 hours, just tip them out, and they're ready to plant. I'll just rest them there to dry just a tiny bit to make them easier to handle while we go on to the next bit, which is how to prepare your milk cup. I think the easiest way is just separate the lid from the base, and I'd suggest you keep that there to put them in. Probably get rid of this bit too, just because it's going to be a little bit easier. And very carefully, I'm using a pencil, but you could use a skewer, perforate the bottom of the carton in just a couple of places to help it drain. So we'll do that a few times. I won't do this on all of them, but I'll just do it on enough to demonstrate what we're doing. And then that's ready to fill up with seed raising mix. Pretty straightforward. Just fill up each of these little things with potting mix, like so. Now, it doesn't matter if you overfill them, because we want them to tamp down a little bit. We want it fairly open, but we don't want it too loose, otherwise it'll just collapse when as you progress. So you can see there, I've got a pretty good fill all the way around it. They're about evenly filled. And I just give that a little tamp down to settle it in. And you can see there that this one here is a bit low, so I'll put a bit more in there. There we go. So I reckon that's just about ready to go. Okay, so that's the preparation, and then that's pretty ready just to put your seeds in. So I'd say if you put 3 to 4 seeds per cup, you're going to have a pretty good chance of getting decent germination out of those. It doesn't matter if you get more than one germinating in each pod. I'll talk about that in a minute. So we put the seeds in, Spread them round nice and evenly. Almost there. So you can see it doesn't take very long. These seeds are nice and plump, so they've been soaked well. Just spread those last few out around there. So I've probably got 5 seeds in each one of these cups. And that's it. Now the next thing to do, you can see those seeds there. The next thing to do is to lightly cover them with potting mix. Now you could roughly about the same thickness as the seed itself. So if you're doing different seeds, you might find you can get some other seeds that you'd like to try this with. Just cover the seeds over. That's about all you need to do on that. Probably worth washing your hands after you've used the potting mix, and then use your sprayer just to damp that down. These seeds are pretty solid, the wattle seeds, so they probably won't blow away, but you're fine with finer seeds. If you use much more than a fine misting spray like that, you run the risk of washing the seeds away. So that's about all you need to do. You then need to find a nice warm spot. Indoors is fine. Outdoors is also okay, as long as it's fairly light, nice and warm, and not in direct sun. If that's in direct sun, those seeds will get too hot and they'll cook. So that's it. That's all you need to do to actually get your seeds growing. Now, these seeds, both the wattle seeds and the she oak seeds, will germinate within 4 weeks, and what you might see is that particularly with these hard-coated wattle seeds, that they take a little bit longer to go than the she oak seeds, but they'll germinate just fine. Once they've germinated, you can watch them grow for a bit. You'll find that the top will grow only a little bit over the first month or so, because it's putting a lot of energy into getting roots down underneath. And what you can do once they've all sprouted, you can thin them out rather than try and grow out every single one that's sprouted. You can nip off those that don't look the most healthy. Just nip them off with a pair of scissors and leave the healthiest looking one to grow, and use all of the nutrient and space that's in that seed pod, in the egg cup. They'll be ready to plant out next spring. Now we're right at the end of the planting season, so you'll get them to germinate, no worries. I showed you these ones before. They've germinated quite well. Still in December. We've got a few months of warm weather ahead of us still, so they'll germinate okay. They might be just a little bit small to plant next spring, in which case pot them up into something a little bit bigger, hold on to them for another 12 months, and they'll be about this size, which is a very, very good size to plant out. That'll be a very successful tree when it's planted. So that's it. Germinate at the beginning of summer each year. Plant in spring at the end of the the following year. You hold on to these things. As you can see, they take up very little space, and they can grow to be quite successful plants. And just as an idea of what other things you can actually grow from seed, here's a couple of examples of things that we've grown from seed. This is from a gum tree harvested in the southern tablelands. This is a plane tree, those really, really big mapley type leaf tree. They've been grown from seed. This is a tree that's grown from seeds gathered from a park in Sydney. And this little fella here was grown from a maple tree seed that came from Camden in New South Wales. That's about 2 years old, so you can see just how successful growing things from seed can be. So that's it. Thank you very much for choosing to grow some trees from seeds. I wish you all the very best with it, and please get in touch if you have any questions. Cheers. Hello. We're here today to talk about how to grow plants from seeds. Why? We're doing it because Keith and Mick told us to.